All right, ready. Now, I can't believe I'm making this series, but first off, I'm doing it while I'm doing my cardio at night. But if you're anything like me, you got kind of a busy day and everything kind of gets multitasked. So if you haven't watched one of these videos before, let me preface it with the fact that I'm doing my nightly cardio before I go to bed, so that I can be a little less fat. But anyway, I've made 2 videos before this during this time, and they're basically just some movie recommendations, stuff I guarantee you haven't seen. They're not your typical Hollywood blockbusters where everyone ends up being happy and it gets tied up at the end on this nice little bow. I'm more of a gritty, sweaty, well acted, but not always, a good ending, or things get tied up. So I've done 2 so far. I did one on a recent release called Nobody, which was, I'd call a black comedy, with a guy who stars in Better Call Saul series. And then I did one on one of my favorite movies called Joe with Nick Cage, who I'm not a really big fan of. But when I saw this movie, I'm like, wow, he can act, and he doesn't have to be over top when he acts. So tonight's kind of on a whim. I have to walk through my movie room here to get to this unfinished part of my basement where I have all my cardio equipment. And I just happened to look down. I'm like, you know what? That's a good movie. So I pulled another one out tonight. I got it laying right here because if I tell you the actors' names in this movie, you're not going to know who they are. So I thought I'd bring down the movie and just give you a view of the cover. So here we go. So this one is called Red, White, and Blue. And it's kind of funny, but the main actress in this movie's name is Amanda Fuller. And if you've ever seen The Last Man Standing, it's like a comedy series with Tim Allen. She plays one of the daughters. Now, she obviously made this movie and then went on to star in this sitcom. But I gotta tell you, 2 different performances couldn't be polar opposites. And excuse me, I don't want to give a lot away in this movie and the little synopsis, because if I say pretty much anything, I'm giving away a lot of the movie. So I'm going to tell you the bare minimum. So must be the Coronas. So Amanda Fuller has a character who's this very promiscuous girl. She will basically sleep with anybody. And she goes to work at like one of these like Home Depot type of like places. And there's a guy there who immediately is kind of smitten with her. And they live in this like a halfway house. And he, just immediately just has feelings for her. And you can tell she kind of does too. But she's very apprehensive to get anything going. And eventually they get together. This is tough because I don't want to give too much of it away, but it is a very nihilistic movie. And when I say that, I mean nothing good happens in this movie. You're not going to leave this movie feeling good. I mean, there is some satisfaction. It's a revenge movie. There is some satisfaction in that. The people that commit the crimes in this movie definitely get what they deserve. So I'm really tempted to say more, but I'm going to leave it right there. So Red, White, and Blue is the name of the movie. Amanda Fuller is the main actress. The guy that, kind of likes her. I've never seen him in another movie, but his acting was amazing in this movie. But it's I tell you, it's just an emotional roller coaster. watching this thing. And yeah, so I'm gonna leave it at that. So if you trust me, if you liked Nobody and you've seen Joe and you like that, you're gonna really like this one. And like I said, there are very few movies I go out and buy, and this one was actually hard to find to buy, but I did find it, and I've watched it quite a few times. And it's one of those movies that you can watch over and over again and pick up more in it, but very nihilistic meaning. Nothing good comes of it, but at the same time, great acting, and unfortunately, this is life in some respects. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it right there. Check it out. You won't regret it if you're on the same kind of wavelength as me in movies. But yeah, in the comments, let me know if you've seen it or if you see it after this, and I'd really like to hear what you think of it. And I have seen her before, you know, the sitcom thing, in another movie that I will name later, which is another, you know, one of these independent films, but she did a great job in that movie too. But I'll talk about that one another time. All right, later. Bye.